Good evening. Or, if you're currently in the process of manifesting a sentient being through sheer force of will, then congratulations, and possibly my condolences. Tonight's topic is one that has perplexed scholars, mystics, and now, apparently, lawyers. The legal status of a tulpa.
This is gonna be good.
For those unfamiliar, a tulpa is an entity created entirely through thought, an autonomous being willed into existence by a sufficiently determined mind. Some consider them imaginary friends taken to an extreme. Others see them as independent entities with their own consciousness. But the real question before us today is, do they have legal rights, citizenships, tax obligations? Can they be sued?
If they can be sued, I imagine it's gonna be a very weird day in court.
Indeed. Now, in order for an entity to have legal standing, it must generally meet certain criteria. First, does it exist?
Bit rude to ask that, isn't it?
Perhaps, but legally relevant. The courts do not typically recognize purely conceptual beings. However, given that corporations are legally considered persons, despite lacking any physical form, one might argue that a tulpa could, under the right circumstances, also be afforded legal recognition.
So what you're saying is, a tulpa just needs a good accountant and a few well-placed bribes.
I would never suggest bribery. But hypothetically, if a tulpa could demonstrate independent agency, own property, sign contracts, or make legally binding decisions, then the argument for recognition strengthens.
Right, but how do you prove that being made a thought is responsible for anything? What's stopping people from blaming their tulpas for unpaid taxes or parking violations?
A fair concern, and one that would likely require the introduction of thought-based forensic evidence, which, as you can imagine, would be fraught with complications.
Yeah, imagine that court transcript. Your Honor, I swear it wasn't me. It was my invisible friend. He's very sorry.
Exactly. And then there's the issue of citizenship. In most legal systems, one typically gains citizenship by birth, naturalization, or, in some cases, descent. Tulpas, as they are not born in any conventional sense and cannot pass naturalization tests without raising several metaphysical eyebrows, fall into something of a grey area.
So basically, they're stateless entities.
Precisely. Which raises yet another issue. Can they be deported? If so, where to?
Well, that's easy. Back into the subconscious abyss from whence they came.
A logical conclusion, though possibly an ethically troubling one. And what of legal liability? If a tulpa commits a crime, who is responsible? The tulpa or the person who created it?
That's easy. Just sue the guy who thought them up. I mean, if you create an entity that turns into a raging menace, that's on you.
That would certainly be the simplest approach. However, if a tulpa gains autonomy, we must ask, is holding the creator responsible akin to prosecuting a parent for the actions of their fully grown child?
I mean, I have met some parents who should probably be held responsible for their kids.
No doubt. In any case, for now, the law does not officially recognize tulpas as legal entities. But should they ever petition for recognition, I imagine the case would be both historic and deeply surreal.
And expensive.
Quite. Well, that concludes today's legal inquiry. If you find yourself in possession of a tulpa with legal aspirations, do consult your local regulations before attempting to register them as a taxpayer. Good evening.